This is Push a Weed's Catan. If you know, you know. Coming back with the placement versus outcome video series where I take some of my most interesting games of Catan and break down how the initial placement ended up informing what the final outcome was going to be. As you can tell from the title of this one, no or double plow, no problem. It was not my finest placement strategy. There was some mistakes here, but I wanted to go over this one because it shows how you can take a bad situation and still be able to make success in a game of Catan. So looking at this board here, I'm actually placing in 4th position. And when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that there is only one good or spot with that 5, 9, 10. So I'm assuming this is going to be a premium and something that goes first. I'm also seeing that even though there is 2 strong brick spots with the 6s, one of them is really stuck over in the top and is isolated from the rest of the board. Not great expansion with the desert or those other numbers. So I'm almost counting that one out and thinking that the 6, 4, 3 is really one of the best remaining spots for road building. Skipping forward, you can see here, this is how the opponent's placed before I'm up 4th. I actually really like 4th because it allows you to sometimes create a strategy independent of other variables. And so I'm looking at this board and trying to see where is going to be best for me to place twice in a row. The first spot I end up taking is this 3, 8, 10. And what I'm thinking here is that this is really strong wood, and I'm going to be pairing this with strong brick. We're going for a pure road strategy here because I think that between the 2 of those placements, we end up being the only ones competing for that. The second placement ends up being on the 6, 5, 11. So now I have really strong road building materials and I'm able to point up towards even more brick at the 4, 11. And I'm making a bet here that somebody does not settle on the 6, 11, 12. I think that that spot is actually too weak for anybody to do that, and that's going to leave me an open pocket to build my road. If you know that you're committing to a road building strategy, you also have to be thinking about real estate, because if you have all the road building materials in the world but nowhere to build to, then you're not going to be able to hold on to it in the end. Skipping forward to the final board, this is why I said this was not one of my best placement decisions, because that 6, 4, 3 ended up going to red as their final placement. They were the first to place as well, so they're the first ones in the order, and they get an automatic road to plow me. There is just no way that they are unable to do that, and so my super wood strategy is already in danger. I still do have expansion up to the 5, 4, 11, and being able to build to the desert, which I don't think is going to be Blue's first move, but this is going to be an unfortunate lost settle spot. We also have absolutely no ore to work with, and so we are maxed out on settle materials and road building, but there's not even the possibility that we end up on a strong ore spot. That spot did go to red, so now not only are they going to get to that port before us, they are also the only ones getting strong ore. So this is a spot where a lot of people might get frustrated. They already don't have access to ore. We are going to get cut off on the first turn, and we know that. And a lot of people at this stage would get frustrated, maybe tell red that that was a dirty move to cut me off at the beginning, but that person has to be my friend. I need to produce ore somehow, and you know I'm not going to be quitting this game. So we are maxed out on road resources. We do have the path to that port, and we're going to try to build there and figure out some creative way to get ahead. So here we go. Looking at the first move, obviously red is going to be cutting us off right away, and we even get blocked right at the start here. So kind of a nightmare beginning to this game. The part of us getting cut off was expected, but not having our brick cut off, and right there you see it gets from bad to worse. Blue did end up making the move to settle on that 411, It makes sense for them because they need to be able to round out their own road building materials and be able to move throughout the map. And so now I'm in a situation where I am plowed twice. So if you thought that I could have gotten salty and let this game get away from me to start, now it's even worse. But I go and I just execute my strategy without that extra brick and wheat in hand, and I am just building now to the brick port as quick as I can. The only silver lining about situations like this is I know that my strategy isn't totally cooked because I still have the strongest road building materials, and I'm perceived as really weak right now. So people are not going to be focusing on me. My wheat is blocked here, but you could see I'm already starting to gain a lot of brick resources, and I'm building towards that port steadily. That's exactly what I want to do. And so hopefully I fly under the radar here a little bit as I start to develop. So I cut forward now to one of the most interesting and pivotal parts of the game, where Black proposes a trade where they are willing to give up 2 ore. And in a time where I am unable to produce it on my own, it would take forever to port all those materials. This is a really generous trade, but looking at Black's position, they don't have any real road building materials and they're trying to improve their game. This is a really generous trade to give a complete road for 2 ore, but for my strategy, this is a can't miss opportunity. And so I take the trade. My goal now is to hold on to that ore and do whatever I can to port the brick or get some wheat from some lucky rolls and be able to turn that into a city. But in order to do that, first I need to settle on that brick port so that those materials become as efficient as possible. So that is the clear order of operations here. I do get a couple of lucky rolls there, and you can see I had 6 brick in hand, which allowed me to get to that city on the 6, 5, 11. This is letting me now have 3 brick every time that a 6 rolls, so I'm getting that free card. I also am sure now that road is exactly the way that I want to go, so you see I wedged blue with that 4 brick so that they are unable to continue to build there. I also have red to think about. They could easily go through that 8-10 and connect on the other side. So I am mindful of both of these players and I want to cover off that other spot as well as best as I can. And Catan is sometimes a game of luck. So you see here, I am getting a ridiculous number of brick and wood. And as long as I don't have a 7, am going to be able to build and cover that off as well. So that is the next thing I do. I build those 2 roads over there. So now it is impossible for anybody to take road from me. I'm on 7 points now, so still far from a victory, but that free settle spot on the wheat port will be good, especially with the 5-11 and the city. And so I'm thinking end game at this point. This is another benefit of the early city. I'm not threatened right now by red to settle on the 11-4 because they never built a city, so they don't have another settlement in hand. So I win that race, but it is not even a threat. I'm still going to cover it off because that is the most likely if they do pull a city and then try to expand from that spot. But now I have 8 points. I have 1 free settle spot on the 10 as long as red doesn't city and then settle over there. But this is looking better and better. I buy a knight. I was hoping for a victory point so that we could make this clean. But as you can see here, another ridiculous number of resources. And I end up making another city as my final move here in order to win the game. So I'm able to build 2 cities, avoid the disaster of the double plow, and still take home the win on this one. So this was a really interesting game and just goes to show you should never give up, even if your starting position does not look rosy. There's always ways that you can set yourself up to win, even in a bad situation. Thank you all for watching. Hope you had fun, and let me know in the comments if you would have played this a different way, if there was something that I didn't see on the board. See y'all for the next one.